think it was the end of last week. Yes, it was. Saturday morning. I read you a story that was faxed to me by somebody in Columbia, Missouri, and I thought it incredible. The story is entitled, Kansas City Man Tries to Build Time Machine on Porch. Now, in case you don't remember the general tenure of the article, I'm going to remind you now. Kansas City Associated Press. When a Missouri factory worker set out to make a time machine on his back porch, the contraption he came up with was not completely off the mark, theoretically, according to scientists. With a high-voltage electrical transformer that Michael Marcum had hooked up to two vertical metal rods would more likely have killed him or blown up his house than carried him into the past or future. Time travel, though enticingly possible in the mathematics of Einstein's theory of relativity, is not likely in the physical universe, they say. They go on, quote, it is a very interesting area, though. There are theoretical physicists working on those areas, and I will not say that it's total nonsense. This was according to the chairman at the physics department at the University of Missouri at Kansas City. But he went on, it's not something that you can demonstrate with batteries. And I guess that was Michael's problem. So are the Stanberry police, who say the voltage that Marcum had diverted into the contraption caused power interruptions in and around the northwest Missouri town of about 1,300. Marcum had connected the metal rods to the terminals of a transformer, one of 6 stolen from a utility company, in hopes of creating a large spark gap with ascending electrical arcs. Marcum was arrested January 29th on a felony charge of stealing the transformers from a St. Joseph Light and Power generating station in King City. He pleaded guilty last month, was placed on 5 years probation. Police said the transformers had a capacity of 12 to 76,000 volts each, enough to easily cause electrocution or an explosion. Marcum, who told police that he has 2 years of college-level electrical engineering, said he was building a time machine, but didn't have enough power for it. That's according to the Stanberry police chief, Tom Hampton. Hampton said, quote, he's not nuts. He appears to be an intelligent person with a lack of common sense. Maybe. Hampton said Marcum told officers he had not tried to enter the spark gap, and neither had anyone else. If anyone had, they probably would have been electrocuted, not transported in time. Presumably, he decided that if he got enough electricity together, he could build a time machine, because there is the concept that if you're going to do it, it's going to require an enormous amount of energy. So there it was, and you know me and these kinds of stories, and how I'm fascinated by time. So I set out to find young Mr. Marcum, and I found him. It wasn't easy. I went through a couple of our affiliates, and then I just started going to phone directories and rooting about, and lo and behold, there was a new number, and it was Michael's, and I've got Michael here. And so I thought I would ask him, and I did a little earlier today, and we're going to go through it right now and find out exactly what it is Michael was trying to do. We'll get back to him in just a moment. Michael, are you there?
Yeah.
Good. First of all, had you heard that story before? Yeah, the one I just read?
Yeah.
You've heard that, huh?
Yeah. It's like I'm collecting clippings on it now.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
How old are you, Michael?
21.
21. Pretty young.
Yeah, very.
Now, let's go kind of back through the story like you and I did earlier today. This all began, well, why did it, that's a good question. I didn't even ask that. Why did this begin in the first place? What were you trying to do in the first place?
Originally, I just set out to make a fancy Jacob's ladder, and this was like what it turned out to be. I didn't like.
A lot of people don't know what a Jacob's ladder is. Tell them what it is.
Simply, in a nutshell, it's like 2 metal rods with a spark going up in between it, and once it reaches the top, it starts back to the bottom again.
So that kind of deal, right?
Yeah.
Like from a Frankenstein movie.
Yeah, that's where they got started at.
Okay, well, there are ways to do that. The Van de Graaff generator, for example. You familiar with that?
Yeah.
But you were going to do it with, well, actually, how were you going to do it? So you told me something about winding your own transformer?
Yeah, that's what I originally did, and it's like I like used it was like real touchy, and what I did was I used a laser, a modified CD laser for it.
Well, let's stay with the transformer for a moment. Yeah. How did you wind this transformer? How did you do that?
Oh, well, it's pretty simple, really, but you just take these metal plates and glued them together.
Glued them together, yeah.
Yeah, and in the simplest transformers, there's the two coils, your primary and your secondary.
Right.
And
is it like making a giant ball of string or something? In other words, you just keep winding and winding and winding around?
Yeah. Well, there's like technical things, but simply put, it's like your primary coil will have like maybe 400 turns, or it depends on how many watts you want to make it to.
Right.
Let's say it's 400 turns in your primary, and there's 4,000 turns in your secondary.
Mm-hmm.
Well, 10 times the turns, and then you'll get 10 times the voltage.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So is that about what you did? 400 and 4,000?
Well, the small transformer had to change to 100. I don't know how many turns. I lost count. I never bothered to count the second. About 450 turns in the primary.
So you just kept winding.
Yeah, until I got roughly 20,000 volts.
20,000 volts?
Yeah.
So you went from 110 to 20,000?
Yeah, roughly.
Roughly. All right. Without, I take it, very much current.
Well, actually quite a bit, about roughly, it was drawing about 3,000 watts, so.
Oh.
Yeah, so I was let's see, it was probably about tenth of an amp.
Tenth of an amp, all right. Well,
that's a considerable amount when it's 20,000 volts behind it.
Oh, yeah, that'd knock you right on your butt.
Oh, yeah.
So then you did this, you built this thing, and you had the arc, and you were able to achieve the arc, is that correct?
Yeah.
All right, so here you have this beautiful arc going, and, or was it not quite going the way you wanted it to?
Well, it was like a little bit it was like kind of touchy, because it's like the bottom of the metal rods. Right. Where the spark starts, if they're too close together, the spark will stick. But if they're too far apart, it won't arc at all. So it was like real touchy. If I moved a fraction of a millimeter, the thing stuck, and if I moved it too far apart, it didn't do anything. So what I set out to do was use a laser, use the heat from a laser to
get it started or something?
Yeah, get it going by itself.
I see. The heat from a laser. That's interesting. So it would the heat from a laser would attract the spark, sort of? Well,
in a way, the heat from the laser lowers the resistance to the air is what it does.
Right. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you got this laser by, how'd you get the laser?
Well, I practically made it from scratch. I took a CD laser and redid all the electronics in it, kind of like reinforcing it, you'd say.
A CD laser. So you tore apart a CD player.
Yeah.
and so then you got the laser. Did it do what you wanted it to do? Start the spark?
Yeah. It's had some other effects I didn't expect.
Well, and therein lies the story. Other effects you didn't expect, like what?
Well, it's that spark's pretty hot, so you're going to have a heat signature right above it. But
you mean kind of like a hazy glow or something?
Well, kind of like wavy. If you take a lighter and look right above it, you'll see the heat from it.
That's right.
It's real faint. But now I was expecting I know that it was going to be like probably an extra, like a bigger heat signature from the laser, but this one was like strange, like almost right above it. It was like the regular heat signature, but it was like a kind of like, it was like almost kind of like circular shaped in the center.
Sort of like a glow.
Not really a glow. It's like if you don't really look at it, you can't see it. It's like normal. No.
Is it like you know when you're out in the desert in the middle of summer and you see the shimmering coming off a road?
Yeah.
Is it like that?
Yeah, but it's like, and normally those are just wavy lines straight up and down, kind of.
Right.
But this one had the straight up and down ones. They were like kind of like it's like kind of like circular shaped in the center.
Huh.
And that was like it's like I didn't know at first I didn't know what it was. I'm not 100% certain now. It's like that's what I'm working on now, trying to. Like,
wait a minute now. Wait a minute. You're back at this again?
Huh?
You're back at this again, are you?
Yeah. I'm just like picking up where I left off, but this time I'm like not doing anything illegal.
Now, when I we'll get to that. When I called you earlier today, you said, "Gee, it's you caught me or something. I just got out of jail."
I got out of jail I got out of jail March 30th. So.
March 30th. Well, that's pretty much just out of jail.
Yeah.
And you're able to do this program tonight because you are more or less not employed.
Yeah, I got all kinds of free time right now.
Were you employed, Michael, at back when you got in trouble?
When I was arrested, yeah, I was.
So
in fact, I was like supposed to go to work the next day.
So in other words,
I got arrested.
So in other words, this cost you your job.
In a way, because there's like other things branching off this, but my boss thought I contaminated his plant with PCBs, but that's another story.
I guess from the transformers, huh?
Yeah, because one of the transformers that...
Well, wait a minute. We're getting ahead of ourselves here.
Yeah.
All right, let's go back. We're with your first small contraption. That's all I can think of to call it. And you told me something about throwing a bolt or a screw or something?
Yeah, a sheet metal screw. See, I didn't know what this thing was, and it was like, I don't know, I just got the notion to throw a screw in it to see, like, what it did. Because I never saw anything like that before. And I was like, kind of like testing it.
Yeah, a screw, I guess, would be as good as anything else.
Yeah.
Mine might do that, too. All right, so you threw a screw into the...
circular thing.
Circular area.
Yeah, it's like a couple. I've talked to a couple of physicists. They call it a vortex, but.
All right, you threw it into what we'll call the vortex.
Yeah.
All right, what happened to the screw?
Well, I had this thing sitting on a table, right?
Yeah. And
I threw it in there, and I didn't see it after that.
It disappeared?
Yeah, roughly. I did it 3 times. It's like my laser burned up, so I knew it'd do that. I just didn't think it'd do it so quick. But
so it probably provided such a high SWR, it's called, standing wave ratio, to the laser that it burned it up.
Yeah, because I I knew it. It's like pushing that farther than it was designed for is what it was.
Mm-hmm. But you're telling me this thing disappeared.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to figure out right now. It did one or two things. It went half a second into the future, and then I caught up with it, or I made like a real intense magnetic field. And that's what I'm trying to figure out right now.
All right, this is fascinating, Michael. It really is, because there are aspects of what you have done that are very much like, I've interviewed the people who did the Philadelphia experiment, Michael.
Yeah, that's what the Montauk Project is.
Yeah, and you're messing with the same sort of stuff. You're messing with the same sort of stuff. Oh, well, anyway, all right, so continue with the story. You got this, it disappeared, you blew up your laser, and then you sat there thinking, wow, I did something different here.
Yeah, it's like it freaked me out. It's like at first I thought I was seeing things, but...
So what did you do, go away and think about it for a day or two or a week, or when did you finally get this brilliant light bulb of an idea to build a larger unit?
Well, it's like a half a second is not very much. But I figure if I make a bigger one to send it farther, that way I could really like tell if it's like really like if I was like sending it through time or if I was just sending it through an intense magnetic field.
Well, right. But what I mean is, how long did you think about whether you wanted to build a? Did it occur to you right away when you blew up your little one, I'm going to build a bigger one?
Well, first I was like after that thing burned out, after all the smoke cleared.
Smoke?
Yeah.
In other words, there was sort of a reaction to the screw.
Well, no, where the laser, when I say the laser burned up, it literally caught fire, the electronics.
Caught fire?
Yeah.
That's bad. Well, all right, so your equipment was smoldering.
Yeah. And it's like I was thinking about just like rebuilding the laser, because the basic part of the laser's fine, but the part of the electronics, like, they were like totally ruined. And I was thinking,
just rebuild the electronics and try it again.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about doing, but I figured because basically I almost have to start from scratch except building the transformer.
Mm-hmm.
But so I figured I'd make just a bigger version of what I did.
So, wanting a big transformer, you needed a lot of voltage to do this, right?
Yeah. 2,000 volts will arc, but it's like 2,000 volts. That's like very touchy.
And 10,000 or 20,000 volts really arcs.
Yeah. Well, it's the wattage to make it arc. A welder will arc when it's only like 10 volts because there's so much amperage behind it. But
that's right. Mm-hmm.
But you have to like get it real close. It's like and it's at 2,000 volts. It has to be within like half the bottom. The space between the rods at the bottom has to be like half a millimeter apart for an arc.
How far apart were your two rods on the first small machine you built?
About 2 inches.
2 inches? Oh, that's pretty good space.
Yeah.
So then it dawns on you, let's build a big one.
Yeah.
So now, I didn't ask you about this earlier, but in order to get enough voltage and current, you needed a big transformer. Now,
yeah.
It's true the power company has big transformers.
Yeah.
Really nice ones.
Yeah.
And how did it dawn on you to, what's the word we should use, borrow one of the, or several of the power company's transformers?
How did I get the idea for it?
Yeah, I mean, you knew you needed a transformer. How did it occur to you?
Well, originally what I was going to do is I was originally going to like buy them. Like there's like a transformer company in Kansas City that makes them for the power company. And
well, there was an idea.
Yeah, but it's like I could have like saved my money and bought those, but those are expensive.
How much is a transformer? Just out of curiosity.
Well, I'll give you an idea. When I buy them from the factory, I buy them at wholesale. But the St. Joseph Light and Power, the power company I stole them from, they value the 6 transformers I took. They value them at $13,600 some.
Oh my! So that's not shoplifting. All right, Michael, hold on a moment. We've got a little business to do here, and we'll get right back to you. Back now to Michael. Michael, are you there?
Yeah.
They don't call you Madman Marcum, do they?
I haven't been called that yet.
I just made that up, Michael. Don't let it bother you. All right, so here we are, wanting now to build our big, at this point, what were you calling it, by the way? Obviously, it was no little entertainment thing anymore.
Well, it's like I said, I'm not sure what this thing was. It was either an intense magnetic field or some sort of time machine.
Well, actually, it would have been a combination of electrical and a magnetic field, I guess.
Yeah.
So anyway, plans got big. You decided you wanted to build a great big one. So according to the story, you had 2 big poles on your porch. Is that correct?
Yeah, 3/8-inch metal rods.
Really? How big?
You mean how long?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Roughly 4 feet.
Oh, that would have made a big spark.
Yep.
Big spark. And so you had the rods, and you needed the transformers desperately.
Yeah.
You probably could have saved up for it, but you didn't. You made a mistake.
Yeah.
And you
in a hurry.
So what did you do? Did you sneak into their yard?
Oh, you mean the...
In other words, how did you get the transformers? You didn't heist them off a pole, of course.
Oh, heck no.
So
they were noticed immediately. They were gone then. But these were just sitting by a substation in King City.
Just sitting there.
They were just sitting. Yeah, just sitting. They've been sitting there ever since I moved to Missouri. So.
You hated to see them languishing without use.
Yeah. Well, they were just sitting there rusting, and heck, they don't even use them. Heck, in fact, right now they just got them put away for safekeeping. They say so.
Probably historical record.
Yeah, now.
So anyway, what did you do? Take a pickup truck? Those things are heavy, aren't they?
Yeah. The biggest one I had weighed 350 pounds.
Ooh. Well, then you must have had an accomplice.
Yeah, a couple of them.
Couple of them?
Yeah. I don't know. I haven't talked to them. Their court date was the same as mine, and they didn't look too happy with me. So.
I'm sure they weren't. No. So anyway, somehow you talked them into helping you out in this venture.
Yeah.
And you snuck down there, no doubt, late at night.
Well, it was right in broad daylight.
Broad daylight?
Yeah, roughly 11 o'clock in the morning.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. And so in broad daylight, you took the transformers, loaded them up in a pickup truck, I guess?
Yeah.
And hauled them to your house?
Yep.
I see. And you had how many of them?
6.
Why 6, Michael?
Well,
I mean, why did you feel you needed 6?
Well, originally I was just going to take a couple of them, but it's like
You got carried away.
Yeah, pretty much.
I see. All right. So you got the transformers to your house, and then you, I guess, hooked up the secondary. No, it would have been the primary of the transformer to the poles, correct?
Yeah, basically I just hooked it backwards.
Yeah, that's right, backwards. So the primary was hooked to the poles. The secondary, you hooked up to the power coming into your home?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What happened when you did that, by the way?
Well, I didn't get to the big version of it. I didn't get the laser part yet. I was going to order that from New Jersey. Had
you produced a large spark with it?
Yeah. That's another thing too. Before I was like arrested on the 30th, and on February 3rd, I was going to pick up like 60 feet worth of cable so I can reinforce the cable to my house. So.
You mean actually coming in from the pole?
Yeah.
What were you going to do? Climb the pole?
Pretty much.
Oh, Michael.
Because I figured if I called the power company and had them reinforce the cable to my house, I'd like draw suspicion. So.
Well, I'm sure it would. Yes, it would. They would want to know why.
Yeah, why I need a cable that carries 2,000 amps instead of the usual 200.
Now, so you did, though. You nevertheless hooked it up and you turned it on, didn't you?
Yeah, I hooked up the smallest one that I could hook up without, like, overloading the cable and causing a fire.
Yeah? What happened?
Well, it's pretty, just that in itself is just like a giant Jacob's ladder. Like a...
How far apart were you able to get these poles and still produce the spark?
About 18 inches.
18 inches.
Yeah, it was the smallest one I had. It was changed 240 to 12,470.
12,470. So when you did this, according to the newspaper, you blacked out or browned out portions of your whole town. Is that correct?
Yeah, I was like overloading the power grid because I was drawing more power than I thought it was.
Well, what got you caught? Was that what got you caught?
No. In a nutshell, a friend of mine was at my house. Well,
somebody squealed on you.
I don't know what happened, but exactly, and I'll probably never know. That's in the past. I ain't really worried about that now, but what happened was a friend of mine, like, from my house, shot a BB gun, like, shot out my next-door neighbor's sliding glass door window.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and I, like, got the cops snooping around, so...
And they just happened to see this incredible rig on your porch?
No, they came, that happened at roughly, I can't remember, this was back in the end of January. That happened around noon or 1 o'clock or something like that. Mm-hmm. And they came by with a search warrant at 11 o'clock at night.
So obviously they had seen it then, and they decided.
Well, they'd never been in the house.
Right, but they didn't have to be to see the porch, did they?
Well, it was like the porch was closed in. And all the windows were boarded up.
Oh, I see.
Like stuff like that, like try to keep out of sight.
Could it be? I guess, Michael, when you started a big gap, an 18-inch gap like that, it would have created an intense white light.
Well, let's see, it was a 5,000 watt spark, so it was...
It would have been very intense, and
yeah, it's like
maybe from your neighbor's perspective, Michael, they would hear this, and their lights would dim, and they'd look over at they'd look over at your porch, and they'd see this white light streaming out from all the little cracks and places, and they'd get worried. Could that be?
That's a possibility.
All right. So
no, the main thing they were like, it's like that's the reason. That's one of the reasons I moved from Stanbury, because half that town wants my head on a pole. I have the feeling.
You mean they don't like you now?
Well, it's like I don't know if this is just another unfounded rumor or not, but like a lot of those people's television sets are ruined and stuff like that, because I was like drawing so much power, and it was like normally it's between 110 and 120 volt outlet, and well, it's like they were estimating. This is what I've heard. I don't know if it's a fact or not, but they were estimating I was like bringing it down to like 80 volts, 80 and 90 volts.
That is damaging to electronic gear.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So a lot of people in town with appliances that now are door stops are probably not happy with you.
Yeah, pretty much. Most of it is just like lights would flicker and like dim real bad and stuff like that. But evidently, it's people that were just happening to be watching TV when I operated it. See, I operated that thing at night too, so
yes.
That way, not a whole lot of people were like. I hadn't see at first when I hooked this thing up. I thought it was a 5,000 watt spark. I figured it'd be these transformers ain't as efficient as I first thought they would be. Yeah, well, it was like drawing a heck of a lot more than I thought. A
lot more current?
Yeah.
Yeah. You weren't going to walk into the middle of that spark gap, were you?
No. I was like, made the big version. If it did the same thing, I was like going like throw something else for it, like not something that's like.
Something a little bigger than a screw to disappear, maybe. Yeah,
like maybe an orange or something like that. And if it came out like in one piece without getting fried to crisp,
then you would have walked in?
Well, there's other things too. It's like the Philadelphia experiment. People were like, from what I've heard, people were
buried in the deck.
Yeah, embedded in walls and stuff like that.
Yeah, because you can't tell where you're coming back out.
Yeah, because you lose your time lock, but.
Would you have eventually done it if the orange came out okay, and then maybe you tossed a cat in or something? The cat came out.
I was going to say that, but I figured.
You were going to toss a cat in.
Well, if everything else came out all right, like totally unscathed.
Then the cat would have gone in.
I'd probably try something that was alive and small, like a grasshopper or something like that.
That would be good.
Yeah.
Before the cat.
Yeah.
All right, Michael, hold on. We'll be right back to you. We're going to find out what he's experimenting with right now, and I may take a couple calls here. All right, Michael, are you there?
Yeah.
Good. Michael, now you're a free man again, out of the pokey, and ready to begin experiments, I've just learned, all over again. You're going to do this again, huh?
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much. Well, you don't give up easily, I'll say that for you.
Nope.
By the way, what did everybody think of you when you were in jail? I assume you told them this story.
Until the media started taking it seriously, everybody thought I was a nutcase.
You sound sane to me.
Yeah, pretty much.
A little on the wild side, but sane. Anyway, so what are you going to do now? How are you going to rebuild it, in other words?
Right now I'm just basically saving my money and do what I originally set out to do, buy them.
You're going to buy the transformers?
Yep.
What would be the legality of your using them if you bought them? Would that be perfectly legal?
Should be. I mean, as long as I don't might get into EPA violations if I take them apart and get oil all over the place and stuff like that. But as long as I don't do anything like that.
You mentioned you lost your job. How did your employer think you polluted his workplace with PCPs? I mean, you had not taken these apart, right?
Well, one of them I couldn't use, and I didn't really want to take it back there and get caught taking it back. So figured I might as well strip the copper out of it and sell the copper. So
you took it apart?
Yeah, and I didn't really just dump it on the porch. That was kind of like an accident, but I was taking the oil and putting it in a plastic wastebasket. Well, it's this was only a 3,000 watt transformer. That's pretty small for a pole, utility pole. Mm-hmm. But it weighs 150 pounds, and I was the only one doing it, and my finger slipped, and I ended up dropping it and dumping 10 gallons of oil all over the back porch.
Oops.
Yeah, and anyway, I ended up getting it all over me too because it splattered, and evidently anyhow, it's got all the back porch. Well, anyhow, the shoes that I was wearing at the time are also the shoes I wear to work. And he thought I tracked PCBs into where he used to work. He thought I tracked them into his plant, tracked PCBs in his plant.
I see. So that was the end of your job.
Well, he didn't really say that, but I have that feeling. Because he asked me who and all was in my house, who and all was around those transformers and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Has the EPA knocked on your door yet, Michael?
No. It turns out it turns out the transformer I took apart. I tried telling them that they wouldn't take my word for it. The transformer I took apart is too old. It was so darn old. It was too old. It was 4 PCBs were around. It turned out just to be plain old crude oil.
Oh, I'm sure you were personally relieved a little about that.
Well, it's I was almost certain that was all it was, because well, I'll put it this way: the last time that the transformer was even checked was in 1924. So
I see. Well, so you're going to try this again. You're going to save up money, buy the stuff, and try it again. Are you going to do it on the big scale the way you did last time?
Yeah, pretty much. It'll just. Right now,
going to be on your back porch?
Well, I'm living in an apartment right now, and yeah, I'm on the 3rd floor too. So I'll probably move before I do that. That
might be good.
Yeah.
That might be good. That might not go well in an apartment.
Yeah. Plus the power that's going to my apartment is only 10,000 watts. So if I draw more than that, I'll overload the transformer and blow it.
Just a theoretical question for you. Let's say that you produced a time machine, Michael, and you actually managed to go either forward or reverse in time. What would you use it for?
The time machine?
Uh-huh.
Heck, the possibilities are endless, pretty much.
Yeah, I guess they are. I guess I'm asking, Michael, would you use it to make money?
That'd be one of the things I'd do. It wouldn't be the only thing I'd do. I mean, give an example. Right now there's an AIDS plague, kind of like a 20th century Black Death. But
that's right.
Yeah. So I don't know exactly when they're going to have a vaccine for AIDS or anything like that. But
you might try to bring one back.
Yeah.
That's a good answer.
Yeah.
Michael,
Same thing with cancer and stuff like that.
Well, it's true. It is true. Let me bring a caller on and see. Every line is lit up here, and I'm curious what the audience has to say about this. East of the Rockies, you're on the air with Michael Marcum.
Yes, hi, this is Maureen from Redding, California.
Yes.
Hi. Unless I'm misunderstanding your guest there and yourself, I am just really blown away by exactly what you have been talking about, because I've always been real impressed with you, Art, as far as I've always thought you as to be a person of high intelligence, what have you. Your guest you've had on your show in the past, I've always been impressed with that, but this has got to be the lamest thing I've ever heard in my life.
You don't believe it?
Well, it's basically, let's teach somebody how to make an atomic bomb, what have you.
What do you think about that, Michael? How do you feel about that? Would you build an atomic bomb if you could?
Build an atomic bomb? No, I doubt it.
See, he wouldn't go for an atomic bomb, ma'am. He's talking about time travel. Now, what's so bad about that?
Well,
I mean, do you think it's dangerous or what?
No, well, I think it's just very dangerous as far as I'm sure some of the listeners that you have.
Okay. Maybe this will help. Ma'am. Listen, everybody. Do not try this at home.
Well, see, basically, you're going step by step by step.
That's right.
With him.
We absolutely are. That's right.
Why are you doing that?
Well, why do you think? Are you worried that somebody's going to do this at home and fry themselves?
Of course. There's idiots out there in the world.
Well, yeah, but ma'am, there are people. I could interview somebody who walked off a cliff. Do you think that would mean that my listeners would walk off a cliff?
I really doubt you would have a guest on there who would try to walk off a cliff. I have always looked at you.
But what I'm saying is,
the opinion of you has always been a person. I really admire you, Art Bell.
Now you're disappointed.
And I enjoy your show, and you're a very intelligent human being. I am totally blown away that you would have somebody such as the guest you have on tonight.
Why?
And I'm sorry if I'm.
Well, the question is why.
Because of the subject that you are discussing.
Yes.
Basically, there are adults out there in this world who have a childlike mind who will be ignorant enough to try this kind of thing at home.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Michael?
Yeah?
I'm going to hold you over a little bit. This is too much fun. Now, tell him, Michael, say, don't try this at home.
Don't try this at home.
Thank you, Michael. Affectionately, we'll call him Madman Marcum. And he's in Missouri. I think he's in Missouri. And, Michael, I read the story last week, and I'm not going to go through it again, but it's entitled Kansas City Man Tries to Build Time Machine on Porch. Now, long story short, he built a small, well, it wasn't supposed to be a time machine to begin with. It was just supposed to produce an arc and be cool. And his small model, which he used a laser from a CD to cause the spark to begin to move up Jacob's ladder. That's what it's called, Jacob's ladder. When he got it all going, he noticed a very strange, sort of shimmery effect above the arc, and he threw a screw into it, common screw, and the screw disappeared. Well, now we're into something else. So our hero, Michael, went over to the power company and stole 6 power transformers, which he then hooked up to his line at home and made a giant model on his back porch using 2 gigantic poles, about 4 feet high. And he got himself a big Jacob's ladder. He also ruined a number of appliances, browned out most of the town that he lives in, and that, of course, is where the police entered the picture and appropriated Michael's transformers. He lost his job. He went to jail. He's recently out. I somehow found him yesterday. We've been interviewing him for an hour, and we will continue to do so in a moment. Every line is jam-packed full, so a lot of people want to talk to Michael. A couple of faxes that have come in. Here's one. Art, all my life, I've been reading books and collections of unsolved mysteries and events. Several times, I've come across a story about archaeologists discovering a perfectly machined, completely modern sheet metal screw. This screw was embedded in a piece of quartz that is at least 10 million years old. This has always been a totally unexplainable, unsolved mystery until tonight. Dave in New Brownville, Texas. Then this, Great Joe Art, if time travel is possible, be aware the Earth, solar system, and universe are traveling thousands of miles per hour. If Michael's screws traveled through time, they'd be far from here in space. That's from Albany, Oregon. And this, I'm going to fax a diagram to you, basically what your guest is talking about, except that it will not work with electrical energy. A massive power source, such as your guest is speaking about, would create something that is more than anyone at this time would want to deal with. This system was being played with in Colorado without getting into names using low-frequency EMF. This, hey Art, I think the time machine idea is interesting, but did the bolt come back exactly the same? Was the bolt analyzed to see if the material had changed at all? And on and on and on. I've got a whole pile of faxes here. Michael, did anybody analyze the bolt?
No. I was just by looking at it, it weighed the same, it looked the same, it looks exactly the way it did before I threw it in.
So the bolt literally disappeared from view. I mean, when you threw it in and it went into the field, Michael, it, in other words, it disappeared. When it came back, was it still suspended in air, and then did it drop down, or what?
Well, like I said, this thing was like sitting on a table, right? Normally, when you like throw something, it'll like follow a parabola and land.
That's right.
Well, I didn't see it like go through the air. I just saw it appear on the table.
Wow. So, in other words, you threw it, and in midair, it literally disappeared. And when next you saw it, it was laying on the table.
Yeah, and I did that 3 times because I figured, well, maybe I'd like miss seeing it like go through the air.
And the 3rd time you did it, I take it that's when your laser blew up.
Yeah, I was like going through that several times. I was like going to like turn it off and borrow a camcorder and get it on tape.
Oh boy, I wish you'd done that.
Yeah, but
sure you do too.
Yeah.
These are always things, though, that you think about later. Let's keep perusing the phone lines here and see what people have to say about us. It's really interesting. East of the Rockies, you're on the air with Michael Marcum. Hi.
Hi, this is Stanbury, Missouri.
Are you
enlisting officer?
Oh, you are the.
Tom Hampton.
Hi, Mike. How you doing, boy?
Hey, you still got my diary, don't you?
You bet. Sit here on the desk.
You are the arresting officer?
Yes, sir.
Well, I'll be darned.
Wow.
It's great to meet you. I don't know if it's great for Michael. Are you guys friends?
Well, are we friends, Mike?
Yeah.
Yeah, sort of.
Well, listen, maybe, officer, you can give us all of this from your perspective. What did you find when you arrived at Michael's house?
Well, we knocked on the door. There was 8 of us in the CERT team.
8 of you?
Yes. There's one officer in Stanbury, then we had county deputies and Missouri Highway Patrol to assist.
Let me back up a little, officer. You got a search warrant.
Yes, sir.
Obviously, because you suspected something was going on. What was the basis of the warrant? What did you think was going on there?
We had received information that Michael had these transformers in his residence, and that they had been stolen. And after checking with my local utility, which we have our own utility service here in Stanbury, we found out they were from here. We checked with St. Joe Light and Power out of King City, and the man didn't know they were gone until we called him. And that's where we found out they were stolen, and we had, with the information we had, it gave us enough information to go ahead and get a search warrant. So
you got access to the resident with a warrant, and look, what did you find?
Well, we found Michael asleep. Sorry, we had to wake him up. But we found the transformer he'd made into a piggy bank in the, I guess you'd call it a dining room. On the back porch was the transformer that he'd used to make his Jacob's ladder. And then there were 4 more transformers in a secondary bedroom.
Uh-huh. And so then off Michael went to the pokey, I presume.
Yes, went to the, as we call it, the Albany Hilton. In jail.
Well, this is quite an incredible story. How did you feel that, I mean, did you think you were dealing with a madman or what?
No, I had met Mike, I guess by the second day after he came into the state on another search warrant deal.
I see.
And talked to him just a little bit that day. He appeared to be an intelligent person, what I considered above average intelligence on some things. And then he was here in Stanbury. I had calls because people didn't know who he was, a stranger from out of town.
He says he's not particularly welcome in that town now, that a number of people feel as though their appliances may have gone belly up because of his experiments.
Well, I haven't personally had any comments of that nature. I did hear your earlier part of your broadcast where he browned out the majority of town, which was not right. It was just a small section, approximately 2 blocks, where we had a little problem where the lights would flicker and brown out a little bit.
Had this been occurring frequently?
No, it actually hadn't. It happened a few times, and it quit happening. We found out from Mike that he moved his experiment to later at night when people wouldn't notice it. Wise decision.
This is quite a story, officer. I'm absolutely glad you called. Michael, is there anything you'd like to ask him, or the other way around?
Think about it, Mike.
Are you suggesting that Michael should not proceed to try this again?
I personally wouldn't, because of all the hazards involved. Electricity is a very dangerous toy.
Indeed.
And it's just one slip and it's your last slip. I wouldn't do it. Well, I did like his electric cigarette lighter he had. You might have him explain that to you.
His electrical cigarette lighter?
Yes.
All right, officer.
The one I made out of the microwave?
Yeah.
Officer, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
We appreciate you calling the arresting officer in the case. Wow. All right, Michael, what about your cigarette lighter? What's this?
Heck, I got it. I still got it now, but basically I turned my microwave. It's still a microwave, but I made a cigarette lighter out of it, too.
Out of what?
My microwave.
Your microwave oven?
Yeah. There's like a transformer inside that. And basically,
you like transformers, don't you, Michael?
Yeah, it's kind of like I guess you'd call it a hobby. That's like I've always been interested in. That's like I've always been interested. Heck, I've been interested in those things since I was like 12 or 13. So
you know, there were physicists in this article who commented that you were actually more or less on the right track. I mean, they sort of, even though they didn't think you should be doing it, they more or less endorsed the direction you were going in with regard to time travel.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of with you. I mean, I know the young lady and the officer are saying, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it.
Yeah.
But
well, they're afraid I'm going to turn myself into fried bacon or something.
Well, of course, and you may.
Yeah.
You may. I mean, there is that risk, isn't there?
Yeah, because with high voltage, you don't have to touch it. You just get too close to it, and you're a goner.
You get in the corona, and that's all she wrote.
Yep.
And that's actually what you were talking about doing ultimately, getting in that corona.
Yeah.
All right. East of the Rockies, you're on the air with Michael Marcum. Hello.
Armeister, Sky.
Yes.
In New Orleans.
New Orleans, yes.
Yes, Michael?
Yeah.
Yeah, first off, I think I'd like to party with you, dude. What I like about him, he's asking two of my favorite questions of all time. What if we try this, and also why not?
It really is true. And with the comment of the physicists here in the article, I mean, I really do understand his investigative, curious mind. I'm very much the same way.
Right, because anything's possible unless it's already been proven physically not to be possible. But just a couple comments and then one question. One, I hope you're taking and leaving very good note, because, you know, you may send yourself into the wild blue yonder, and someone can maybe pick up where you left off, even though we would say we'd miss you.
Yeah.
And next thing is, if you do see yourself making progress, I'm sure you'll be taking everything, you know, wisely and step by step. Do not let any kind of big company, bureaucracy, or anything horn in or try and get in on a piece of the action, because you know what that'll end up being like, just like everything else. It'll be totally taken away from your control, and you'll just be more or less cast to the wayside.
Yeah, that's like what I'm worried about right now. Cause,
I would just move carefully before you make any decision or any step, because I've got, you know, some government experience, and just take a very careful step. Don't ever jump into anything.
Yeah.
And my last question is, next time you, I guess that vortex, I guess for lack of better words, it doesn't sound like exactly what it was, but anyway.
Best way to describe it.
Yeah, because, well, anyway, you know what a vortex is. What about a digital stopwatch, you know, measuring into the hundredths of a second at least, you know, chunking that through?
There's an interesting idea. Thank you, sir. He's saying throwing a stopwatch through. Now, that is interesting, Michael, because if the stopwatch made it out the other side...
Yeah, none of the electronics getting destroyed.
And there had been, well, even if it's mechanical.
Yeah.
Of course, then it would be subject to a mechanical field, probably stop it cold. But if you could get one through, it might provide you with an idea of whether it actually went through a time distortion.
Yeah, like set two of them, keep one, throw the other one in, set for the exact same time. That's
good, Michael.
Yeah.
Very good. Stay right where you are. We'll be right back with you. Michael Marcum, Madman Michael Marcum is my guest. We'll be right back. All right. Back to Michael Marcum. Michael, were you surprised to hear from your arresting officer?
Yeah. Very.
Me too.
That's like quite a coincidence.
He's apparently following your case, Michael. Does that make you nervous? In other words, he knows where you are now, doesn't he?
I don't know if he does or not. I think he does. I don't know if he knows exact house I'm in, but I think he knows I'm in St. Joseph, so...
St. Joseph, we'll see. So wouldn't surprise me, but that he or his friends might be cruising by your apartment looking for strange flashes in the night, that sort of thing. All right, let's see what we've got out there. East of the Rockies, you're on the air with Michael Marcum.
Yeah, this is I got to get my radio, Art.
All right, turn it off.
Yeah, I'm going to turn it off. Just give me a chance.
All right.
I got it. It's gone.
Good.
Okay.
Where are you calling?
St. Joe Thursday.
Where are you calling from, sir?
I'm calling from Leavenworth, Kansas.
Leavenworth, all right.
Yes, sir. I would like to say that your guest, I think, is just a little bit nuts. He's probably as nutty as I am. I would like to make a comment. As far as what he's doing, I think he's on the right track, but you being a ham radio operator, that's what I am, you have to understand that you also have to have a transmitter and a receiver. You kind of get what I'm getting at now?
Well, I guess the Jacob's Ladder may have been a crude transmitter and receiver in a sense. In other words, wait a minute, sir. He was propagating this voltage across those two rods, and it may have been a kind of a blunderbuss way of going about it, but I can understand that he might achieve the effect he thinks he did.
Well, you had a gentleman on one night that was explaining the theories with Nikola Tesla.
Yes.
Okay, and I've studied Tesla in depth. I've been studying Tesla for a good 25 years, and I'd like to ask your guest a question. Where did he come up with this idea that he would use high voltage?
All right. It's a good question. Where did you?
You mean for the time machine deal?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like I said before, it didn't I didn't set out to build the time machine.
As is so many times the case with any discovery, you were simply trying to build a Jacob's Ladder.
Yeah, just like something fancy to watch.
Just to see the spark go up, sort of be something cool to do. Look, I understand that perfectly. Believe me, I understand that. And an unexpected effect occurred. These things happen. First-time caller line, you're on the air with Michael Marcum.
Oh, hello, Art.
Hello.
This is Chuck in Redmond, Washington.
Yes, Chuck.
I just wanted to call, and I'm so glad I got through tonight. because people like us that are messing around with this kind of thing, we got to kind of stick together.
Oh, you're another one, are you?
Well, a little bit. I'm mostly my friends, that sort of thing. I got into it about 3 years ago, started collecting information, and I've got a computer bulletin board service where I try to get all this stuff together and get people to talk about it. Because I ran into a buddy who originally he was using a lot less voltage, but he was just using DC batteries, made a couple of coils, and was using a police radio that he would key, a ham radio, a handheld, and he would key it and then tweak through the frequencies, and I guess he hit the resonant frequency of the circuit, and cut a long story short, he ended up in the loony bin for a little while, and he's okay now, but I went down and snuck a tape recorder in to interview him, and I got it all on tape, about an hour's worth of conversation, and he was telling me all about his time travels and how he had gone through this portal and that portal and had to go through 12 worlds to get back, and quite frankly, I thought he'd lost it. And I'm not even sure now, but that was kind of interesting. So I did more research, and then I presented this to another buddy of mine who fools around with electronics like I do, and I said, hey, what do you think of this? And at first he scoffed, and then he looked at it and he goes, well, I could see how you get some kind of interesting effect out of that. And then about 2 weeks later, he kind of came up to me. Well, he came up to me, he was kind of pale in the face, and he said, wow, one of the engineers upstairs at where I work, which is where they manufacture medical equipment, he said that he had taken 2 4-foot square capacitors out of an X-ray machine and hooked them up to a short length of 12-gauge wire. That's a very thick wire for somebody who wouldn't know. Laid it on the floor and threw a quarter in it, and he pushed the conductors together, or the electrodes together, until it got close enough to arc. I don't want to know how he did that. And apparently after the spark, it disintegrated the 12-gauge wire, and the quarter was reduced to the size of a dime, but a quarter-inch thick, and apparently still in good shape.
Well, that's something, and it's yet another effect. In the case of Michael's experiment, the screw disappeared and then reappeared. He's too young to call him Father Time, so we're calling him Madman Marcum. Here are a couple of faxes in on the subject. Art, no, I don't think you juiced this one up. Well done, what a scoop. What tremendous bloodhound intuitive tenacity. You're 1 in a million, as is young Michael. I predict a great future for him if he doesn't blow himself up or get lynched first. I can just see the light pouring out from the cracks in the porch. Art, help him find a mentor quickly. And then, like he needs encouragement, get this. Art, we've done what we estimated to be a 30-kilowatt version of what Michael did. However, we did not see the time travel application, but if he needs transformers, we've got them as leftovers from our electrical business, free if he wants. He provides shipping. I'm sure, like us, there are many people that have more than what he needs for experimenting. He's really talking small-scale power. 100 kilowatts is just medium power level. I cannot suggest that it be done within the city limits, however. People are not very technically tolerant around here either. Randy, listening to Kogo in San Diego. So, Michael, there you have it. It is a free offer of that which put you behind bars. This guy's willing to give you transformers. Cool, huh?
Yeah, very.
So, is that something you might go for?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, I can put you two together. I've got Randy's number here in San Diego, and I'll give it to you privately tomorrow. How's that?
Okay.
I don't want to be arrested for being part of this. But nevertheless, it's a good offer. How do you feel about the possibility, Michael, of somebody coming along and being your mentor, even more than this, maybe contributing money to build a great big gigantic version?
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be like a dream come true.
So you'd go for it, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Set up a lab somewhere and go for the really big voltage and really big current and, boy. All right, west of the Rockies, you're on the air with Michael. Hi.
Hi, I'm calling from Medford, Oregon.
Medford, KOPE country. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was just wondering, what makes you think it's a time machine and not some sort of thing like Star Trek, beaming from one point to another?
That's a good question. Yeah, what makes you think you're on the track of time here, Michael? It disappeared. The question is where to go and for how long?
Well, that's like well, before my laser burned up, that's pretty much just I decided I had to go by what I saw. So right now it could be several things. Like it could have been it could have went through time. It could have went through something like the Philadelphia experiment, made it invisible or something like that. I'm not 100% certain what it is, but
I'll say this much, Michael. All kidding aside, I think that if I had done what you've done, and I'm the kind of person likely to do that, I disassembled all my mom's appliances when I was about 8 or 9 years old.
Yeah.
And I'm a big experimenter, so if I'd noticed an effect like that, I'd be on it too, like glue, and I'd keep going. I mean, who cares what people say, right?
Yeah.
Is that your attitude?
Yeah, pretty much. Everybody's got their opinion.
Yeah, they sure do. And here's another one for you. East of the Rockies, you're on the air with Michael Marcum. Hi.
Hello, Art. This is Christoph from Kansas City.
Yes, sir. Right near Michael's home.
Yeah, right near. My question would be, I would like to know if you guys would explore some of the more technical aspects, such as which direction in time it might be going. If indeed he did get to a point where he himself could step through it, how he would be sure that he could get back from which direction he went.
That's an interesting question. Although the screw came back, and he was going to try, I think you said, an orange next, or something like that.
Yeah.
And see if it came back intact. And then maybe a kitty cat. And then maybe Michael. Would you, I'm curious, Michael, would you have stepped in yourself, or would you, if you got to that point, or would you have looked for a volunteer?
Well, if I had looked for a volunteer and he didn't make it back, I'd make me guilty of murder. And I already had 60 days in jail, and that was plenty enough for me.
So you wouldn't want to be on trial like O.J.?
No.
Of course, they wouldn't have a body.
Yeah, that's true, but heck, I don't know.
So you would have done it yourself then?
Yeah. I still felt if I wasn't legally wouldn't have been found guilty of anything, I still wouldn't have wanted anybody to do that.
Okay. Wild card line, you're on the air with Michael Marcum. Hi.
Hi there. Yeah, I've got about 2 or 3 questions for Michael, and very, very interesting program. This is John from Reno.
Yes, John.
It's a great program. Did he have any Tesla research information before he started this?
Well, that's a good point. Have you looked into Tesla at all, Michael?
Yeah, it's science in general is really, that's, I don't know, I guess you could call that my hobby. I read all sorts of books. Let's see, I've read Tesla. Right now I'm reading there's this book, I forget who it's by, but it's the string theory of the universe, so.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, how about the Philadelphia experiment? You checked that one out too?
It's real hard to find information on that in libraries, so I'd I've got this past conference I went to just a few days ago, found out information on that, information on the Montauk Project, which is a spinoff of the Philadelphia experiment.
Michael, let me add something here. Michael, we did a program with one of the people involved in the Philadelphia experiment. And, Michael, he gave all the technical details of exactly how they did it in the program.
Was that guy Al Bielek?
Al Bielek.
I'm trying to get in touch with that guy.
I can get in touch with Mr. Bielek. And what I'm telling you, though, is we did a program with him in which he gave the exact technical details. The RF field and the electrical field that they used, the intensities, the power, the whole thing.
Yeah. And
you might want to get a copy of that program. It's the only... I'll tell you how to get that, all right? Or maybe I'll even have it sent to you. On the East of the Rockies line, you're on the air with Michael Marcum.
Yeah, you got Ray from Florida, Missouri.
Hi, Ray.
Yes, my cousin just called me. He called you from Leavenworth, Kansas.
Oh, yes.
Yes, he didn't hear the answer to his question on the high voltage. And he was just wondering, he didn't hear the answer because he had to turn his radio off, and he called me and said he's only allowed one call a night.
That's a true statement.
So he would like to hear that. And
well, all right, rephrase the question then for us.
Well, I'm not sure exactly what he asked. He just said that he asked a question about the high voltage, something about where did he get the information for that. And I think that, I've been listening, and it's amazing about the way that works, you know, and I'd like to hear the answer, and if you would give me a few seconds to go and shut my radio off.
All right, well, I'm not exactly sure how to respond to it. Do you remember the original question, Michael? Something about the high voltage?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. We went through it, and Michael explained how he built the first transformer.
Yeah.
And then how he obtained the following transformers. And so I'm not sure exactly what...
how can I say this? Like how did I know how to make a Jacob's ladder or something like that?
Did you have an original design of some kind, Michael?
For a Jacob's ladder?
Yes, yes.
The Jacob's ladder in and of itself, just to make a Jacob's ladder, is pretty simple.
So you knew, you just, it was the scale of the thing.
Yeah.
All right, west of the Rockies, you're on the air with Michael Marcum. Hi.
Yes, this is Cliff from North Bend.
Hi, Cliff.
How are you doing, Art?
Just fine.
Hey, this gentleman, he is really on the ball there, to me, isn't he?
Well, see, he's either that or, according to a young lady who called, he's like a terrorist, and we're like helping him out, spreading the information.
I admire him.
Like I wrote
I'm about twice his age.
I'm sorry, Michael, what did you say?
That one was like as if I wrote the Anarchist Cookbook or something.
Yeah, that's exactly right, the Anarchist Cookbook. Any questions for him, sir?
Yes, I would like to exchange some correspondence with him as I'm working with Mark on, I'm trying to think of the last, Hendershot, free power. And it's just a thought. It's crazy.
All right, I'll tell you what.
Twice this guy's age. Why couldn't we make it self-powered?
All right. On that note, listen, Michael, there are a number of people, a lot of them actually, I'm sure, who would like to contact you.
Yeah.
Is there a way they could do that? Now, you be careful, because this is a big radio program, Michael, and there's a lot of people out there.
Yeah.
Do you want to hear from anybody who would like to help you out or
sure.
correspond with you? How would they do that?
Well,
you can either give out an address or a phone number. It's up to you.
Well, I guess I don't. Let's see. Yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah. Heck. I don't think they're all going to come at once, and like.
Yes,
10,000 people come to my house at once. I don't think that's going to happen.
Well, I wouldn't rule it out.
Yeah. That'd be a heck of a sight.
Maybe rather than giving out your address, Michael, you'd like to think about giving out your phone number or not.
Well, it's already published in the phone book, so might as well.
All right. What is your phone number, Michael?
It's 816-232.
Right.
4019.
All right. Let me give it again. 816-232-4019. All right, we've got just a little more time here. So on the wild card line, you're on the air with Michael Marcum.
Hey there, Michael. How's it going?
Pretty good.
Yeah, this is Will in Spokane. The original, I think, mad scientist when I was probably about 4 years old. Incredible idea that you have. What was your education?
I was in about 2 years ago. I was actually it was from November '91. So about a year and a half later, I was like majoring in electrical engineering.
Oh, major! Jesus, you're only 21.
Yeah.
Wow.
I graduated when I was 17.
Mm-hmm.
So what would you recommend to Michael? Would you say keep going or stop now?
I'd say get in touch with me. That's what I'd say, and continue on.
All right. Well, you've got Michael's number.
Actually, I don't.
All right. I'll give it to you now. You want it?
Yeah, I do.
It's area code 816.
816,
232.
232,
4019.
4019. Okay, my name's Will. And maybe I'll give you a call, huh?
Okay.
All right. There you have it. West of the Rockies, you're on the air with Michael Marcum. Good morning.
Well, Well, good morning, Art. I think I'm going to go out and play the lotto now. Hey, listen, I've really enjoyed this show. That woman that called and a couple of the naysayers that have called up, I'm going to have to say they're all but persimmons. This has got to be the funnest show you've ever done. Anywhere from getting this guy, after I heard the story initially last night on your show, and then this morning, and then the police officer calling up, Art, this has got to be the greatest show that I have heard in a long time. I want to know, though, is, Mike, are you going to be publishing?
Oh, that's a good question.
Writing a book?
Yeah.
Yeah, a book or, some sort of just a technical manual or something like that, or, theory manual.
All right, there you go.
Heck, there's all sorts of books out there, like, on this subject, so I don't know. That's remains to be seen. Maybe
if you, on a larger scale, get to try the experiment.
Yeah, it's it's another thing too. If I get this thing in, it actually works. Heck, I could write a book, do a movie, and do all kinds of stuff then.
And hopefully tell us whether it was a lone gunman or not.
Yeah, that's another thing I'd like to do too. This may sound like a joke, but heck, I'd like to go back and see who really killed Nicole Simpson, but that's another thing.
Well, I guess that would be a laudable use of it, and maybe we could cut this whole damn trial thing short, Michael.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
All right, hold on just a moment. We'll be right back to you. Someone near Kansas City, my hometown, who is either truly on the cutting edge or merely yet another deranged madman. I frankly don't care if he is. It's just so nice to hear the tale of somebody's courage and following their intuition and going for their dream. Thank you, Waldo in Tehachapi. There you are. You're not a deranged madman, are you, Michael?
No.
No? How would you describe yourself?
My strange experiments, basically just like anybody else.
Well, I don't know about it just like anybody else.
Well, that's the way I see myself.
To you, you're normal.
Yeah.
All right. East of the Rockies, you're on the air with Michael Marcum.
Yeah, I was interested in talking to Mike about possibly publishing, as in one of your last callers said, publishing information. I am a computer junkie, basically. My name's David. I'm from Houston.
So you'd like to interview him?
Well, what I'd like is, if he ever does go to the whole publishing stage, is to see if I could get him to send me the information on, what the outcome is. Maybe not exactly what he's doing, because, of course, he might want to keep that to himself, or keep other people from trying it, but basically get an overview of, what type of information he's dealing with, what he's doing, what the outcome is, and possibly show it to the public to see if they like it at all.
All right, and that winds into an earlier call. Thank you. We will give Michael's number one more time here. You're going to be on the phone a lot, Michael. Michael, the guy asked, are you taking notes? Are there any notes so that if you stepped into the gap and turned into a French fry, that people could read and see where you went wrong, maybe?
Yeah, overall, like a general, like writing down every little thing, but like keeping the general idea down.
Okay. We've got so many calls. East of the Rockies, where are you calling from, please?
In Kansas City.
Kansas City, yes,
Good morning. How are you?
Fine.
Mark is just as north of me in St. Joseph. I'm down here in Independence.
That's right.
And, by the way, I have to echo the last caller. It's a refreshing difference from the stock market report.
There you go.
For which we have no control. Mark, I need to ask you something.
It's Michael.
Michael?
Yeah.
When you approach the day when you build the quote-unquote Arc of Triumph, give me a call because I want to make sure I plug in my surge suppressor first, okay? Love you guys.
All right, thank you. So he's worried about the appliances there in Kansas City. Is there a way you can somehow protect the local area of the power grid that next time you do this, Michael?
I can have the power company put a bigger transformer on the pole. That way I won't overload it.
That's an idea.
Yeah.
From now on, I bet anybody in the Kansas City area, when they see their lights dim, they're going to wonder if you just jumped across.
Yeah.
All right. West of the Rockies, you're on the air with Michael Marcum.
Yes, I would like to know if your guest has great knowledge of time travel.
Great knowledge of time travel?
Yes.
Do you have great knowledge of time travel, Michael?
Great knowledge.
Some knowledge.
Yeah, general idea, but like down to the nitty gritty, and just like that's what I'm doing now.
I mean, after all, nobody has real publishable knowledge of time travel. We're off into an area here that just isn't much known.
Well, yeah, it's like right now it's like treated as the same thing as UFOs and stuff like that.
Sure, absolutely. Wildcard line, real quickly with Michael Marcum. Hello.
Hi, Mike and Art. This is fantastic. Mike, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Have you ever listened to the Art Bell show before? Well, okay. I just want to let you know that there's nothing but a bunch of wackos out here that listen to Art Bell all the time. And we really appreciate a guy like you. Let me say this.
Gee, do me some more favors, sir.
Let me say this, Mike. There's a guy. He's a cosmologist, an astrophysicist. His name is Rick Thorne, and he's into what is called wormholes.
Oh yeah, it's kind of like similar to a black hole.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what he likes to talk about, and this is also very fascinating, it also has to do with time travel. Now, when you step in one end of the wormhole, and it has to do with the speed of light and the space-time continuum.
All right, we're about out of time here.
Okay, well, he says when you're coming back out the other way, you meet yourself. Now, I often wondered, if you threw the screw in, did you take a look at the screw and see if it was turned left or right-handed thread when you found it?
Ooh.
Interesting questions.
Yeah.
Keep it up, Mike.
All right, Michael, we're out of time. It has been a great pleasure. And yes, we do very unusual, kooky things on the show every now and then. But, Michael, on the serious side, I admire you on a lot of levels. I really do. Not the stealing of the Transformers, but what you're doing and what you're trying to do. And I really appreciate your coming on the program. And we'll get your number out one more time. You're going to hear from a lot of people now, Michael. Okay? You take care, my friend.
Uh-huh.
All right. Take care. That's it.
Thank you.